Well, folks, I just have to tell you that things over at Warner Brothers Discovery are terrible. It's just terrible. And why? Well, I guess it's not because Charles Barkley's going to stick around over there. I mean, that's the plan. He isn't going to retire anymore. But at the same time, Warner Brothers Discovery's in the fight for its life as far as keeping TNT, TBS, True TV, and all the other entities that actually run some sports content from time to time in play, available and viable. Why? Well, because it looks like they are losing the NBA rights deal, despite the fact that they have taken the NBA to court on the 26th of the month. Well, 26th of last month on July 26th. And just in an effort to keep the NBA around, even though the NBA really doesn't like them anymore. But Charles has decided he's in charge, or at least he's going to stick around anyway. And in looking at the latest story here, I don't blame him. Charles Barkley backs off retirement plans, will stay with Warner Brothers Discovery beyond the NBA deal. Well, there's that. Question is the NBA deal a foregone conclusion? It's actually gone. I don't know. Jumping into the story, though, Charles says he isn't getting out of Warner Brothers Discovery sports game, and that's a distinction. And we'll find out why. The Roundball Great was a mainstay of the long running TNT studio show inside the NBA, one of the few entertaining sports shows before and during games that I think exists. There's not a lot else out there that I find amusing when it comes to sports. I don't really watch sports anymore, and I really stopped watching the NBA a few years ago when it became a activist platform. Regardless, he said on Tuesday that he will put off previously articulated plans to retire and to continue work in what is believed to be a 10-year contract that kicked off in 2022. Warner Brothers Discovery is in the midst of the heated legal squabble with the NBA over keeping some amount of rights to show games after the league's next season. Barkley's reversal could be seen as a sweetener, though NBA executives are believed to have soured on their long term alliance with Warner. NBC Universal, Amazon, and Disney are the league's partners as of this new rights deal, which will commence next year. Hot mess. Hot mess indeed. I love my TNT sports family. My number one priority has been and always will be our people and keeping everyone together for as long as possible. We have the most amazing people, and they are the best at what they do. I'm looking forward to continuing to work with them both on the shows we currently have and new ones we develop together in the future. This is the only place for me, Barkley said in a statement. I have to say, I've been impressed by the leadership team who is fighting hard to have been aggressive in adding new properties to TNT Sports, which I am very excited about. I appreciate them and all my colleagues for their continued support, and most importantly, our fans. I'm going to give my all as we keep them entertained for years to come. So, sounds like Chuck is sticking around. And Barkley's future presence would not be limited by the NBA, or at least NBA play anyway. There are plans in place that would have him contribute to other parts of Warner's sports portfolio if the company proves unable to persuade the league or force it through the courts to keep games parked at TNT. Barkley could participate in content built around Warner's share of the NCAA March Madness tournament, which again airs on True TV, TBS, and TNT. I think it even airs on ID, although I could be wrong. But and it operates that with Paramount Global, Major League Baseball games, Warner's Celebrity Golf Contest, which makes sense. I mean, Chuck's been known to lose a lot of money around the golf course, or NHL matches. Now, Barkley could also devise original programming, which I think could be really funny. I think they should just give him a sitcom, to be fair. I think he could carry one. I think he could be, well, the next, maybe a little bit nicer to ladies, Cosby family show. Maybe. We continue to add to the breadth and depth of our sports portfolio, including new properties in the college football playoffs, Roland Garros, NASCAR, Big East college basketball, Mountain West football, among others. And it's fantastic to have Charles for this journey as we develop new content ideas and shows for our fans. This is coming from Luis Sibelwasser, chairman and CEO of TNT Sports. Well, I hope you get your wish, my friend, but it doesn't look like basketball will stick around, at least if the NBA has their way. I guess relationships between Warner and the NBA are at an all time low, and it isn't clear that even the continued presence of Sir Charles can remedy the situation. And as I mentioned before, the Supreme Court in New York was the recipient of a lawsuit filed on July 26th against the NBA. Warner really wants these rights back. And here's where, in Variety, we see the most obvious statement ever. Keeping NBA games is critical for the media company, led by CEO David Zaslav. The NBA rights are a significant driver of TNT's current affiliate value. No kidding. With some of its With some of its key network carriage agreements up for renewal next year, we would expect TNT to have far less leverage in these affiliate negotiations, perhaps even seeing rollbacks in rates, which they can't afford, even after factoring in new sports rights acquired over the last few months. WBD's refers to these NBA rights in its lawsuit as a unique asset that cannot be replaced. Well, I agree with that wholly. We can see the damage extend to other parts of Warner Brothers Discovery's cable portfolio, as the company would no longer be able to use the NBA on TNT as a hammer to push rates on its slew of other domestic cable networks. And boy, does it have a ton of them. The legal battle may not serve Warner well, argued Fishman. It is difficult for us to fully understand what positive outcome can be achieved by Warner Brothers Discovery with this lawsuit. It's not that hard for me to understand. They need these rights. And if they get them back, it's very positive, and perhaps they can smooth things over the next 11 years of what this contract will actually be. The new agreement with Barkley may serve other imperatives. By maintaining ties with its star announcer, Warner Brothers Discovery ensures he would not be able to work with any of the companies that are taking over games it once showed. And that makes sense. I don't know how you would see it absolutely any other way. What I also know is that Warner Brothers Discovery is at a tipping point in its existence. There is some idea out there that the companies could be split up again, and you would have Warner Brothers cast off onto its own, and you would have Discovery also on its own, back probably still with the majority shareholder, with Liberty Media just kind of running things for them. I don't know. And who's to say who would be the new CEO of Warner Brothers? Because I have to tell you, Zaslav is not going to leave Discovery. I guess that leaves us in a very precarious place, whether or not Warner Brothers is able to keep the NBA rights. If they don't, well, then their value drops precipitously. They won't be able to get the premium money that they used to get for all of their cable offerings, and cable is still suffering a subscriber loss on the regular. You have to ask yourself some questions. Is Warner Brothers a viable company anymore? Is it no better than a studio with some cable offerings? And do they really have any value in their streaming service? If I were Zaslav, I would go back to selling off everything across the catalog in order to basically prop up the businesses and retire some debt. Abandon the idea of Max, it was folly to begin with, and go back into the idea that your most valuable thing is HBO. And you can still sell them as a premium subscription if you choose to do so, because people will pay for that. But hey, what are your thoughts on the matter? Do you think Charles Barkley should stick around and stick it out over at Warner Brothers Discovery, or do you think he should continue on with retirement plans? Would you be interested in seeing Sir Charles do anything other than basketball? Because he does have some talents when it comes to talking about all kinds of sports, and I do believe he may have some acting chops as well. And as far as the company sticking together, because again, I keep hearing people talk about the fact that it could break apart. Would you be interested in that happening? Do you think there's an upside for both parts of the company? Or do you think they should stick together? And finally, one last question I have to ask you. Do you think they should give up on streaming? There's only a handful of things that they have that are valuable, and those value adds can be achieved with a small cost of a streaming service of about $5 to $10. Would you pay $5 to $10 for HBO? I don't know. Seems quite valuable to me with their catalog of amazing programming and the fact that they still invest in premium things. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. And as always, remember to hit the thumbs up button. Share the content out there. Double check that you're subscribed because people are getting unsubscribed. And of course, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others. And until next time, see ya.